At least 8 people were pronounced dead after a car bomb targeting a top police chief exploded in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, on Saturday. Al-Shabab, an al-Qaeda-linked armed group fighting to overthrow Somalia's internationally recognized government, claimed responsibility for the attack. For more on this, we are joined by Pan-African scholar of the National Research Fund Chair in Innovation Studies at the Tshwane University of Technology and senior researcher at the University of Oxford. Professor Mammo Muchie is also the co-author of Somalia, Diaspora and State Reconstruction in the Horn of Africa. Professor Muchie, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on the Weekend Report. Let's talk about the latest developments coming out of Mogadishu. 8 people killed in an alleged suicide bomb targeting a government convoy. What happened?
Thank you for always focusing on Africa and the different challenges we face in Africa. I think the most difficult problem we have now is also the extremism. You remember, extremism started with Taliban, al-Qaeda, al-Shabab, Boko Haram. So we have quite a whole variety of extremists who, what they did was they want to combine religion with politics. In other words, they say that the governments that are running their countries are not following strictly the Muslim faith. Because of that, they say that we need to have very strict Muslim rules to make sure that the countries are governed under like a Muslim state. That's what has been happening. So it's taking place not just in Somalia, it's taking place in everywhere, in Iran, in Iraq and Yemen, and in many of the Muslim-based countries. We had, and now also in Nigeria, and you heard about what's it called, Cabo Delgado, even in Mozambique. What we have now, what we have heard now, is that these extremists are also now collaborating and combining their, and I think it's extremely a difficult thing. What we need to have is a governance system. I say we need to sanitize governance. By that, what I mean is that religion, all right, yes, any differences, language, all these things must not be used to say mine is better than yours. I think this is wrong. We should completely not accept this kind of thing. And of all places in the Horn of Africa, Somalia is the most attacked, and almost you will not believe everyone is interfering in Somalia. All them in the Middle East countries, yeah, all of them are involved. Turkey is also involved. All in many of the Muslim countries are also involved in different ways to this Al-Shabab. And what it is a country, as you know, has been divided before. Part of it was French, under the French colonial rule, part of it under the British, so and part of it as under the Italian. And then you see, when you have all these divisions, and then you have the almost clan system also, that they have one language and mainly almost one religion, but they have different clans. They divide themselves according to clans also. And then the clan system was also when the colonialists were used, they were using it for divide and rule. So that this country, Somalia, has not really come out of this really risky situation, because there's no systematic rule. The leaders come. There's in 1991 there was a major change that happened because of the coup d'etats. Many things like that are happening in Somalia, and it's not changing, and it's taking a long time. And the interesting question now is, given the whole area, the Horn of Africa area, that area, if you have conflict in Somalia, then the conflict also affects Uganda, Kenya. I mean, all these Al-Shabaab elements are also, they're affecting the whole Ethiopia. All of them are being affected. Eritrea and Djibouti, all these regions are affected by what's going on also in Somalia. The key thing is that the system must be created where this Al-Shabaab, all these extremists, must be told that they are not really protecting the Muslim faith by doing this extremist action and killing. And that's not, Allah will not be accepting it. They should really know this. And I don't know how much they also really know the Quran. They have read it. So, somebody like me, I don't know, because I taught in England a course on ideas of science. And there, one of the things I did was develop something about the Islamic science. Also, I added it. I added African science and also science from what came from Africa, all the indigenous knowledge and the rich knowledge that we had. I think we did a lot of things. And then when I read, I think I'm just surprised some of these extremists, what kind of things they select in the Quran. Because if they read it thoroughly, I think it's got so much rich knowledge, including a lot of science. Almost over 33% of what I read is very scientific in the Quran. From what I read, I mean, I don't know about how they read it and they understand it. So they understand it for extremism, they bring in politics, the poverty, the division among themselves. They shouldn't use it like that. We must universalize religion. We must not, if there's only one God, we should have our way of worshipping to reach God. If it's different, we mustn't say mine is better than yours and then start attacking people. So religions must not be divided. Religions must also come to some unity, some understanding. There must be also some really spiritual governance. A sanitizing spiritual governance approach is much, much necessary now to really deal with all this big challenge we did. We wrote a book on Somalia, and we did try to also really address all this complex situation, how the statelessness in Somalia, all these divisions are taking place. How could we also try to find a solution? And we did it many years ago, but still you have all this crisis that's going on. And I did it also with I had a PhD. He was my PhD student, and now he's become a professor. He's from Somalia, and his name is Abdelkader Farah, Osman Abdelkader Farah. And we did it together to make sure that we try to see
Professor,
if we could call a very good situation. Thank you. Yeah.
Professor, thank you so much for that. Now, of course, this has been ongoing for at least a decade with Al-Shabaab, but unrest in Somalia is not an unfamiliar thing. I mean, from 1991, after Siad Barre's government, that war that took place, how does Somalia get out of this? What does their path to recovery look like? And you've mentioned that there are a lot of different countries that have, for lack of a better word, their fingers in the cookie jar. What role do they have to play in getting Somalia out of this very tricky situation?
I think the main suggestion I have is the African Union. I think we need to remember there's also the United Nations Security Council and the African Union have some troops. There's some, they're still there. You remember in America used to be in Taliban in Afghanistan. After they left, now Afghanistan, there's a lot of conflict also. When they left, when Trump just withdrew American troops that have been there for almost 20 years. If you leave suddenly, it's without any arrangement, any political settlement, some arrangement, then conflict will come. In the same way now, we still have loss of forces, including even from the African Union and from the United Nations and others. And a situation must be made clearly, yes, how to make these elements, these extremists to behave, to come to some arrangement, either through, if it's not easy to beat them militarily, because they get all this, as you rightly put it, so many forces are backing them. They back them not just for the sake of backing them. They want to take advantage. You see, some resources that are produced in Somalia, they want to take there's all kinds of interest also in that way. So the best way is for the African Union to really address this major issue of how to deal with extremism.
Professor Muchie, you speak about the sort of ripple effect taking place across the regions because of this fighting, and the way that it disrupts lives and really affects the other regions. How much can be done then to better the lives of the citizens? Because surely this must have a huge impact on socio-economic dynamics, the psychological impact that it must also take, because women and children are killed in these attacks. I mean, this is not new. Just a few days ago, on the 28th of June, there was another attack where 30 people were killed.
You are absolutely right. I think the main issue, as you pointed it out, is the livelihood of our people. You see, is the poverty is very high. And when you have this kind of challenge, it's easy to be manipulated when you are in a poor situation. If they give you something, you can to do something evil, just for the sake of survival, to eat or something like that, you need it. You get involved. So what you have is a lot of ordinary people, all right, are involved. I hear something like Al-Shabab has over 7,000 troops, something like that. In other words, it has its own military. But the military are operating in a not in a formal way, but they are connected, as you rightly put it, with the resources, the money, something they get in terms of like that. So the critical matter again is two double crises we have. One, this poverty always encourages all those elements that want to do injustice for their own advantage to use it against, as it happens now. And then this is the poverty side. Then those extremists also have external, all right, supporters, and at the same time they themselves also have an agenda to say we want to create our own governance based on the way they understand Islamic, the extremist Islamic their understanding of what they are saying, that the governance system cannot be like this democracy, these kind of things. No. They say it has to be Islamic. So they believe in something like that. So they prioritize the religion. So what we have is these major challenges. They all interact with each other, and they create more complications. And to get out of this, we need a much really stronger approach by intervention. That's why we need the African Union should be very strong and organized to be able to also address some of these issues. We need also values, strong values, to say when we govern, what do we do with religion? How do we accept religion? How do we accept different languages? How do we accept our differences, our ethnicity, our tribes? Do they matter to us? You see, that's the key thing. We should avoid it as much as possible everywhere, not just in Somalia. We are now seeing it because of this extremism. We're seeing it in Boko Haram in Nigeria, where al-Qaeda, all this Taliban, all these things, we're seeing it in different parts. But also even in a softer version, we see it everywhere. We still think in terms of ourselves, seeing as humans and Africans with human rights, social solidarity, social justice for everyone. We see it in a different way. we go for our own self-interest, and then we really hurt Africa. We're hurting Africa that should never be hurt at all. And
Professor Muchie, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time and a very thorough explanation on the dynamics that we're seeing playing out in Mogadishu. The latest incident there, seeing 8 people killed in an alleged suicide bomb targeting a government convoy, speaking to the demands and the strict implementation of Islamic Sharia law and the dangers of that law being executed in this manner. Pan-African scholar of the National Research Fund, Chair in Innovation Studies at the Tshwane University of Technology and Senior Researcher at the University of Oxford, Professor Mammo Muchie.